Objections. I have a feeling we're going to need this recording. Our design session is, so we built out a lot of what you gave me, Group Yarn, and I have a feeling we're going to be taking a lot of notes, and we may have to make some adjustments. The recording, I have a feeling, will be pretty useful. And so welcome everyone. Mike Pedamonte here. Raj and I have designed and built some of the components for today's session for VGH Gender Surgery Clinic Scheduling Design Session. Territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we have the privilege of working, living, and playing on the unceded traditional and ancestral territories of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Musqueam, Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh nations. May we recognize this honor and approach our work with honesty, compassion, and understanding. If you're working from somewhere else today, please take a moment to acknowledge those lands. Purpose: to review the scheduling, design, and build for VGH gender surgery and identify any gaps or issues. So kind of how today is going to work, we'll step into the actual appointment book. We have some of the appointment types built. We have all the schedules built. We're going to book some appointments. We're going to look at the request queue, how those orders are going to come to scheduling. We have some design decisions to make based on capturing that patient type and that surgery type within the appointment book and within the order. So you're going to see how that's going to flow across from the order and connect to the appointment. We'll also just have a kind of fine comb some of our scheduling appointment types to make sure that the combination structure, being able to have a combination appointment for, say, Haley and Melanie at the same time with the patient, how that's going to look. And while we have something built and designed for today, the purpose of today is to make sure what we show is going to work. If it's not going to work, it's us taking a bunch of notes, going back to the drawing board and getting it built and kind of signed off before we have our validation session. So again, please just voice your opinions today. If something is confusing, or if I'm going too fast, or if it's not right at all, let's note it down and we'll get it right for follow-up and getting that built for our next session. The appointment books. So just a quick snapshot of what the book looks like in scheduling. It's showing blue there, but the book's yellow. You have a bookshelf and a book. I know that seems a bit redundant, having only the one book in there, but this is designed this way for clinics that have a bunch of different books broken out. Say they have rooms or pieces of equipment, or want to see just the two RNs in one place. You can have different books for different resources. And we're going to definitely look at that in the appointment book. We're going to see everything. So a high-level overview of referral with triage. So fax is the referral form to the clinic fax number. Monitor, WQM. So we're talking clerk. Work queue monitor is our place for monitoring faxes that come to your clinic. You're going to create a referral encounter and set it to ready for triage. The clinic provider triages the referral in Power Chart and enters a accept or reject referral. And at the same time, so when that referral is accepted, an order comes to scheduling to be booked, and in your PM work list where you monitor those encounters, you're going to see referrals that get accepted. So you're going to have this for monitoring referral status. And then in the appointment book, you're going to have orders that come across to scheduling that are actually ready to be booked. So these intake assessments should, in the accept referrals, should go one-to-one with what you're seeing on your wait list here, or sorry, on your referral encounter work list. So accept order drops a new appointment, and from that list, the clerk can either book that appointment, or in your case, I have a feeling most of these accepted referrals are going to be moved directly over to a wait list, and we're going to look at that as well. Any questions on this PowerPoint?
No, I think I've got it, most of it.
All right. Scheduling orders. So we have a couple of orders, and apologies, the visuals on this isn't too nice, but anyway, referral to encounter VGH gender surgery is one order. That's not going to be connected to an appointment. That order will be used by providers in other clinics in other areas to request a referral to the VGH gender surgery clinic. And so how that'll work is they'll get a message to fax the referral to your clinic, and that's going to come over to WorkQ Monitor. Accept referral. So the accept referral order is patient was accepted through triage, provider places that order, and it's connected to an intake assessment. So jumping back to the request list, accept referral order found in intake assessment appointment type. And then the follow-up order is your order that you use within your clinic to be able to request different types of appointments. And you can see I have a handful of appointment types there that can be requested via that order. And a quick glimpse at how that looks in PowerChart. Here's the follow-up order. I have a patient's chart pulled up. I went to place that follow-up order, and there are the different options for requesting other appointments. And so rather than have the providers booking the appointments themselves, these requests are going to come over to scheduling to be booked, and they're going to land on this list here. Does that flow make sense? So here are all everything that's placed under follow-up is going to be placed under that follow-up order. But you can see under that follow-up order, there are different appointment types. There's also the PT follow-up and the social worker follow-up, etc.
I have some questions regarding this.
Yeah.
So the appointment type, so when the referral comes in, that would be the accept referral. And when it says accept referral in the order, that means it's waiting to be triaged by the nurse, right?
No, the triaging nurse will place the accept referral when they've accepted the patient. They'll place that order once they've accepted.
Okay, so basically what we are seeing here are the accepted referrals.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're ready to book for like a intake assessment.
Yeah. And so your other referrals that aren't complete yet, or that you sent them over to be triaged, are staying and ready for triage. You'll also see the rejected referrals here as well.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that it should be one-to-one, those that have been accepted with appointments ready to be booked.
Got it. So once she accepts it and it comes in the referral list, the one that we were just seeing, she's gonna make an order to book for intake appointment. So from here, from this screen,
yeah, that all happens automatically. They place that order, they place the accept referral order, and what happens is this status changes, and this hits your list ready to be booked.
Got it.
Yeah, that's a very good tool, Gerpier. Sorry to interrupt, because then you'll have all the follow-up orders and accept referral orders in just one list. So this is actually very helpful. Good. You don't have to keep checking referral encounter work list just for the accept ones. You will just check it for the rejected ones, or if you're trying to track a referral and it's still triaging. So it'll be just for your tracking.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks for that. So jumping back to the PowerPoint, those are our orders. This one doesn't make it to scheduling. There are some clinics that have that internal referral process where that comes directly to scheduling. For your clinic, we've designed it in a way that everything's going to be faxed. And so everything kind of falls under this flow. Only your intakes only are connected once they're accepted by your triaging provider. Questions with the orders and the flow, you're going to see a bit of it as we step through the demo, but it's definitely important to understand that structure.
So I'm just trying to understand the information for the first one, like the referral to outpatient VGH gender surgery. When it says this order will be used by providers in other clinics to request a referral to the gender surgery, does that mean basically that they are sending the, for them to send the referral? I was just kind of confused when it says request a referral, because sometimes we get the providers when they're going to be like, oh, can you send me an empty referral for us to fill it out? And we decline most of those. We ask them to go to the website for Transcare BC. So I just wanted to kind of double check on that.
So just to give context, there are a lot of clinics that use their referral to order in an electronic fashion to direct their referrals directly to your queue without having to send anything via fax. So a lot of clinics use their referral order and it hits their queue as, instead of accept, it's a referral to, and it may be connected to intake. With your clinic, we're treating everything. So even if there is an internal provider, when I say internal, that's another provider that's on the Cerner system. They place the referral to VGH gender surgery and they get a message that says, they're placing that order, and a pop-up reference text comes up and says, please fax your referral package to the phone number listed. And so everything essentially is getting treated in Cerner terms as an external referral. I just listed it here just for a reference point, but you're never going to see this order on your queue anyway.
Got it.
Yeah, I know that's confusing. I may have should have left it off, but I wanted to just kind of have it there as a reference.
No, I think it's
that.
Yeah, I think it's good to have that information in there as well.
Okay. And there, down the road, if it's ever decided that you want to develop the internal referral system and not have everything done through fax, that order can be changed over to where they electronically come to your department. But it seems, from what we gathered, we wanted to treat everything as the external with the work queue monitor fax. And so that's the process we're going to go. So you won't see this on your list, but it's there.
I might be overthinking this, and I think I might have asked this question before, but I don't want to keep it in my mind to kind of, blow up later. So when we, for example, the internal referrals, like the people who have CST, if they have to send a brand new referral, then they wouldn't get a pop-up, right? They would only
brand new referral. They're going to go to place that order, and they're going to get a pop-up that says, you actually, this is a fax only clinic, and you need to fax your referral package to your phone number will be listed. And so what happens then, you're in work queue monitor and you get the referral packages there.
Got it. Yeah, I was thinking maybe they're gonna fax it to the machine that we have now. So that's good that we're gonna get it in the work queue monitor. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you can remember from the clinic design session, Gerb, we got the information for the reference text from Amy. So she sent us, and it basically is going to tell them what to do. So it'll tell them, and then there's links as well for them that they can follow. So all of that information is what's going to show up for them.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thanks. So just again, quickly, PM office accepted referrals are going to appear here on your request list as well with an intake assessment appointment type. We're going to come back to this. We're going to book some of these appointments directly from this list, but I want to have a look at the appointment book as well, just to show you how that came out. So the appointment book itself, VGH Gender Surgery Clinic. The books are below. I have one appointment already booked to Amy. And what we're going to do to verify the schedules is use an Excel file built into the PowerPoint. So don't get too concerned if something looks off here right now, but a quick step through. I did notice that there was something already applied to Genoway for Thursdays, and we can talk about that as well. A minor surgery slot. I wonder if that's just in the build domain. But there's all your providers, and the schedules vary day to day. You can see that Colin and Melanie's schedule goes away on Tuesday, Thursday, because we didn't apply any slots for those days. And that's how the system, if you see slots below the GSC, that's for, direct open booking without override. That's what Suggest is going to find. So first available is going to find these yellow slots. That's not to say that you can't book anywhere outside of those slots. You could book to Melanie Whitlow right here if you wanted to with an override. It's just our default schedules, our templates is what you're seeing down below in yellow. And I have my view settings on 5-minute intervals because I wanted to show you how something looked. But you can change all these settings down here to make it work for you. Jumping back to the request list. So request list is launched through scheduling, clicking the magnifying icon. And what it does is takes you to this list. Your defaults are going to stay here. So once you pull in Gen Surgery and the location, that's what's going to load each time. The other common request list that you're going to use is wait list. So your future orders, so anything that comes across are going to hit Gender Surgery Future, and your wait list is going to house all the different, all the wait list patients. So how does something get from here to wait list? We're going to do one all the way through, but it's a simple move request, and you are taking the patient off of the future request and putting them on wait list. You're also able to put any other details in there as well, type comments, etc. I'm not going to do that one yet. I have a few things I want to step through first. Actually, that was first on the list. Let's go ahead and move this patient DM demo to waitlist. So we have a patient that's been accepted. I'm going to right click, move request. This window appears. And I'm going to say, okay. Now, if I jump over to wait list. So the patient fell off of this list and they now live on wait list.
So, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to kind of get the basic idea. So first of all, the internal provider tries to send us a referral. They get a pop-up. They will fax that, which will fax the referral, which would come to the workqueue monitor. And from workqueue monitor, I will see that we've got a new referral. I will assign that to Amy by saying ready to triage, or Amy could come to the workqueue monitor, work on that referral, accept or decline it. That would come in the future list.
Amy's working in PowerChart in an application called Referral Management. So you're doing something in workqueue monitor, and we'll step through this all the way with validation. The reason we're not doing it today is just because we have so many scheduling components to look over. But you're exactly right. In workqueue monitor, you create the referral encounter, and you're taking that fax, tying it to the referral encounter, and instigating the process over to Amy. She's in referral management. She accepts or declines. And then when she accepts, it comes over to your future list.
And then from future list, it would go to the general wait list.
Exactly. And that's a manual move to get it to wait list.
Got it. And the decline would also come in the features, right?
Decline do not come to scheduling at all. They just appear here as declined referral status,
Mhm.
and those encounters need to be discharged.
Got it.
And you're going to get training on this. You're going to have plenty of practice with the whole workflow for sure.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Great question. So thanks. So we moved a patient to the wait list. The next one I wanted to show the different areas to capture surgery type. So after you sent me that list, Groupiar was very kind of robust. And I thought about the idea of creating appointment types around the different patient surgery types. And it just sounded excessive from a build and maintenance standpoint. And it just didn't seem like something that I wanted to necessarily propose here at Design before we propose these other options. It would be a little bit much, you know, when we're talking of Cerner scheduling, design and build, to have every single appointment type multiplied by all the different types of surgeries that we have. So how I went ahead and did this was I wanted to propose the different ways that we can capture that. And the best way to do it was to put them all on one patient. There's a couple different methods of capturing that data. One was reason for visit, and that's what we're going to kind of recommend to you. And we also have special instructions. So you can see this is a Rev patient, and how that would have been communicated to us from the ordering side would have been typed here with either the accept or the follow-up order. So the one kind of downfall to that is whoever's ordering these will have to note it for every patient if it's something that you need to stamp with both intake as well as all of these different follow-ups. So reason for visit gets typed here, it connects to scheduling, and it stays with that appointment type for the life of this appointment. And it's the most front-facing option. So you'll see this appear in the appointment book. There it is. So this is using reason for visit. You can see where I typed Rev. You don't see special instructions here. So that's one downside to using special instructions. And I have a PowerPoint to step through all of these as well, and kind of have us make a decision today. But anyway, go ahead.
So, sorry. So the Rev is basically like chief complaint in a way, right? That is going to stick to the to this patient's record in the Cerner forever. Like when they say reason for visit, like Meta or PHA or ORCI, that's going to be like the chief complaint.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of chief complaint in PCIS group here. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so that, and you'll develop the system that works for you with the naming. I just use that list that you sent me to populate a few in here, Groupiar, but this isn't a drop down. This is a free text field. So whatever your clinic decides, if you decide that reason for visit is what we're going to go with, then that system will be developed with your own coding, however you decide to do it. I just wanted to show you how they appear in Cerner. And so reason for visit, another reason why it's good, if I'm Amy and I'm in PowerChart, it very much is front and center on the ambulatory organizer as well. Scheduling comments but scheduling comments are only something that are generated within the appointment itself. So the point I'm trying to make here is reason for visit is the one option where it's entered once on the order and it appears everywhere from the appointment to the request list. It's back here on the ambulatory organizer, and we just wanted to pass that by your clinic and see if that made sense. And now that you say chief complaint, it almost seems like the most appropriate spot. I also passed this question by Nicole earlier today, and she seemed to agree. But we don't need to make that decision just yet, but hopefully today.
So, yeah, so which is why I was saying that, all these surgeries, like the revision and orchies or fellows, which is why I was saying that maybe we can make a drop down for that, because the surgeries I think are gonna be the same except orchiectomy, which we have confirmed that we are gonna be re-referring those patients to some other doctors. But still the surgeries are kind of fixed. Like, so I would say it wouldn't hurt to make a drop down for the chief complaint rather than just typing it in. Because the surgeries are kind of something which is, we always do metas and we always do fellows or vaginoplasties and orchiectomies. It wouldn't hurt to have orchiectomies in there as well, because we have some patients who had orchiectomies and they might have a complication and they might come back to us and we might need to make a new encounter for them. And then at that time we would need the orchiectomy in there. But I think reason for visit, we can still make a drop down if that works for you guys. Otherwise, I'm okay with just the typing as well. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's actually a great point to bring up and to kind of discuss the enterprise structure. The ambulatory team does not approve any additional fields to be added to these orders. What we have to work with is appointment requested and reason for visit. Reason for visit's hard coded as a free text. Appointment requested would mean we would need a drop down for every single possible combination. And it would this is what we were hoping to avoid, was having to build all the different appointment types. So if we had, instead of this here, you'd have a drop down with every combination of all the different patient surgery types with these appointment types multiplied. Does that make sense? So we'd have 7 MD follow-ups, 7 MD new consults, 7 nurse follow-ups, etc. And that's what we're hoping to avoid.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea too. Like, I think this is the perfect drop down that we have MD follow-up, MD new consult, nurse follow-up, and maybe like the intakes. I think that is already been communicated to you guys, but I think this is what we wanted, because if there's 15 of them, then it's it's just time consuming. And then for reason of it, that we can just choose the surgery that they are that they're wanting or that they've had. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. In a perfect world, there would be another drop down added here. And then that drop down would connect to scheduling. The problem with an additional drop down, one, it's not approved to get those added to these order entry formats. They're enterprise wide, but then that field would never be as front facing. That field would never appear here in Power Chart, but reason for exam does. We could never get a field that flows as nicely as reason for visit, reason for exam. So that's kind of another benefit to using that field. So it sounds like, go ahead, Group R. Did you raise your hand again, or?
Yes, I'm so sorry. So regarding the notes, so the notes would be the chief complaint, like we discussed before, and the details would be that particular appointment that we have to book them for, right? Or would they be same?
No, so in this case, these details, this is showing you the appointment type that we booked, the nurse follow-up, and this is showing the reason for visit. So this is a scheduling view for the providers. And your side over here in the appointment book is, let me just jump back that way. Follow-up clinic, VGH, gender surgery. The appointment type, that's the order. And so the appointment type is nurse follow-up.
All right.
The reason for exam is showing there, the rev. And again,
Got
all this stuff that I'm showing you is customizable for each user. So if you're in the appointment book, you want to see these things appear differently, you can.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because sometimes what happens is the nurses could, like, bring the patient in for a totally like atypical purpose. Sometimes it could
Yeah.
be something related to ERAS review, a phone call just to discuss housing, stuff like that. So I think to have the possibility to customize it is great.
Okay. All right, so let's move forward with capturing that in, reason for visit. I'm going to move on to another example. I want to show you a few different designs that we're going to look at today. Aramina was to show the combination booking. So I have another patient, and I wanted to show you, you mentioned that there are a few combination of appointments that can happen. So let's look at Aramina. This is where I'm going to show you how to actually book directly from your from your future request. So let's say this is a follow-up. It's not going to go to wait list. How you book them is right-click complete request. And when we say an appointment goes to the WIP, the work in progress, it means it's ready to be booked. So you can see all the fields are filled out. This nurse follow-up is connected to only book to Amy Lowe. And if I needed to combo this up with the wound care nurse, this is just a proposition. I want to get your input on how this looks, is using the next functionality and typing, oops, I don't know that I have wound. Yeah, I do. Okay. So wound care follow-up, I click next, I pulled in my next appointment, I move it. And so how I'm comboing this up is these two appointments are now ready to be booked. And so I would book the nurse follow-up, let's say for 8:30. And I could then book the wound care for 8:45 with Melanie. And I'm showing you drag and drop. There is first available functionality. So if you wanted to scan for the nurse follow-up appointment using Suggest, go look for the first available slot. We'll look at Suggest in a minute. And then once you found that, you could see if Melanie also had the time. Otherwise, you could suggest them together so that, let's have the system go look for appointments that are one after another. But basically how this looks then, if I go to confirm, patient is with Amy Lowe from 8:30 to 8:45. And then from 8:45 to 9, she's with Melanie, patients with Melanie. And so it's essentially two appointment types, but you're comboing it up so that the patient is seeing both. And it's kind of on an as needed basis. I think I had in the notes there, special instructions is what I used. Let's have a look. Book wound care appointment directly after is how that was communicated. So that the ordering provider, whoever ordered it, can use special instructions to direct this type of combo booking. How do you feel about this, Gupyar?
This is amazing. So
Okay.
basically, the nurse would place the order, then we pick up the order from the future list.
Yeah.
It'll come and we'll do the complete request, and we'll basically see the special instructions and then book
You'll see the
accordingly.
exactly. You'll see the special instructions on both the request list here. You can see it's the book the wound care appointment directly after.
Got it.
And so if this type of system is used, you're going to have to become very in tune to all the fields that your clinic decides to use. keeping the surgery type or chief complaint and reason for visit, using special instructions to combo book. Those systems are developed internally within your clinic. I'm showing you the different tools and options for that, and just making sure that this stuff will suffice for you. So, and all durations can be overridden. That's another thing I want to show while we're in the appointment book, is if I needed wound care nurse to actually be 30, we use the schedule button and we change it's defaulting to 15. I would actually book for 30 at 8:45. So duration override is possible. Or if I needed 60, I can change that here. And so you can see now when I go to confirm it. So even duration stuff can be communicated through those special instructions as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So combination, I think that this will work. We have some other options. The problem with the other options were that it wants to double down the resource, or one of the primary options I was looking at. It wants to make the resources kind of book together at the same time. But to me, it sounded like you wanted to book one after another. It wouldn't be Melanie and Amy in the same room at the same time necessarily. And if it was, this way would work for that anyway. If you needed it to, you could force book it to where it was doubled down at the same time.
Yeah, I think there is a possibility of both these scenarios happening, where Haley could be seeing the patient first and then Melanie could see the patient, or there is a possibility of both the nurses seeing the patient together and simultaneously as well. But I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference if we just do 8:30 to 9 for Amy and 9 to 9:30 for Melanie. They would know, or we can just book like in both of their schedules. We can do 8:30 to 9 for the same patient.
Yeah. Okay. This gives you the flexibility of just that. If I was to create combo appointment types where you pull in, say for a nurse follow-up, you add an additional resource for like pulling in the wound care RN, there's no flexibility there. So you kind of get it hard coded to where it's either one or the other. It's them, Amy and Melanie at the same time, or it's Melanie 15 minutes after. I didn't like that option because of the hard coding. I like this better because it gives you the flexibility as the scheduler to move those around. All right, so moving on to, I want to point something else out in request list. I don't know if this was obvious from before. Ordering provider. So pre-op assess can be booked to 3 different providers within your clinic. How are you going to know that this is your nurse pre-op assess or this is your social worker pre-op assess? How that works is your ordering provider should be what's directing you to know who to book to, essentially. So what this is going to say, this will say call in here if it's going to be your social worker pre-op, and Amy if it's for Amy, etc. So you would see that, you would right click. And let me get rid of that other appointment before we move on. Right click, complete request. Let's say this is for Colin, was the ordering provider. Appointment goes to the work in progress. I know that I need to book this to Colin. You can see that these 3 resources became available for the pre-op assess. We're going to look at all of the combinations here. Don't get too concerned with what's appearing, but you can see Amy, Colin, Haley. We're going to review this all at the end. But I wanted to show you that the pre-op assess, you knew to book this one to Colin because of he was the ordering provider. If I needed the system to scan for column only using suggest, say the schedules start to really get tight and start to load up, I can direct this to just Colin, move it again, and now you see the other two went away. And that's where I wanted to take you into suggest. Suggest is our first available functionality. Go find an appointment. Patients only available on Wednesdays. Let's look from now until May. Click suggest. Suggest goes and finds you all those options. It's taking into account appointments that are already booked, and looking at that yellow slot and seeing what's available. If a patient was already at 12:45 on the 5th, that's not going to be an option. I want to get your opinion on how this appointment type structure looks for you, and will it suffice under one appointment? Let me jump back to the request list. I'm going to pull it back to the work in progress again. So again, pre-op assess can only go to these three providers, and this pre-op assess is going to be what we're using for both of those calls for Amy. And you mentioned the 2 calls before pre-op, or sorry, before surgery. So this appointment has a default duration for each of the providers. The default durations are here. Amy's is 30, Colin's is 45, Haley's is 60. So you can see when I drag this to Haley, it books for 60. When I drag to Amy, it books for 30. The one problem that I see with this is that you have multiple call durations for pre-op. One was 30, one was 15, but I just felt like you could override the duration as needed and we could keep everything under the one appointment type rather than break those out. Unless you needed that labeling in the appointment book to show that this is call 1 or this is pre-assessment 1, and have it an appointment for pre-op assessment 2, which we could very well do. But if notes and special instructions, scheduling comments will suffice for that, then I would like to avoid it if possible.
I'm okay with both of them actually. Like, it doesn't make that big of a difference. It would be nice to have the pre-op assessment 1 and 2, but like if it's not there, it's not gonna affect me in like a huge way.
Okay.
Yeah. So call 1 and call 2 would definitely be like, helpful, but if it's not, then it's not a big deal for us.
Okay. And so, yeah, let's keep it this way for now. At validation, I want to show you how that all appears. So if you're using scheduling comments to capture something like that, you'll get the dot in here that show you that there's scheduling comments, and it's call 1. Those comments flow over to organizers, so Amy's going to see them anyway. I just don't feel like creating additional appointments is something we avoid if possible. If it's something where you're like, oh no, we have to have another appointment type, then we go that route. But if we can make it work this way, then I would say let's avoid it. From a build and maintenance standpoint, changes to these appointments do take a request to CST, and there is some turnaround time. So the less the better, I would say.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. So we can leave it like this for now. If there's anything that we need to change in the future, we'll, I'm sure that we might be able to customize it.
Easily, yeah. A new appointment type can be added in the same structure as what I was just talking about, a request to CST. You're logging it in a different fashion. In that case, you're saying, we have a workflow gap. We need another appointment type. Give them the details. A week or 2 later, you have your new appointment type.
Got it.
All right, So that was showing ordering provider how to book. I want to show you one other thing from request list. So this is another option for we have, if we're keeping everything under the one appointment type, you can see in the special instructions here, let's just say this was Amy who sent you this order, and she's saying book both the pre-op assessment appointments, please. So you have one order for a follow-up and a pre-op assess, but she's indicating go ahead and book both of them. You have your durations, your structure of how you separate those a week apart. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click complete request. I want to show you the best way to do that. You could have your first appointment ready to go. You click next and you click move again. Now all of a sudden you have two appointment types. And with the first, you're dragging it to the date that you need. What was 15 and which was 30, QPR? The first call or the second? Or 30 and let me look at the notes. Call two was 15 minutes. So call one's 15. I know a week later I need the second call. I'm going to use the schedule button and say, let's put it in that slot at 9 a.m. And I know that this only requires 15 minutes. Time is invalid. Oops, let's say, I don't want Colin, sorry. Oh, 9, oh, 15 minutes. This is my second call. And so now you have both appointments ready to be booked, ready to be confirmed. Oops, apologies. I'm going to show you. Call 1, April 5th. Call 2, April 12th. So another reason why we are negative for breaking those out and having them as a drop down separate is then Amy would be sending you two orders for this, but I just wanted to show an option for sending just one request, but please go ahead and book me my two pre-op assess appointments. Any thoughts on that?
I think the way that we have like right now, it makes sense to me when, you know, when talking about this order, like, you know, one order having two appointments in there. And I feel like this is like pretty simple for me. And
yeah, just an option and totally, again, up to your clinic. She may feel more comfortable sending you both, then you'll have two requests. It's just I just wanted to show these aren't actual orders. These are communications from the providers to you to get something booked. It's not like we're requesting an echocardiogram or a CT scan. These are requests for appointments. So as long as special instruction systems are developed, then you should be good to go. It's totally up to your clinic. I just wanted to show you that as an option. I wanted to point out visit modality as well. So visit modality, a lot of your appointments do happen over Zoom or phone calls, and you're going to want to be using the visit modality to capture that. That visit modality is something that our system requires, doesn't require, but it's on the order and it's on the appointment. It's not going to, we're not having separate appointments that represent Zoom for follow-up and separate appointments that represent in person. We have to do that using this field. So whether that's entered here on the order, and I'm going to pull up the order again just to see if that's required or if it's optional. Give me 1 second. It is required. So providers having to enter that anyway, it flows over to scheduling. And so that communication is done that way. So as you go to book the appointment, you're not even going to have to select which one. Any questions about that? All set. And that's an enterprise design, so it's really not even something that we can tweak. We have seen some slot types that represent, different structures of appointments. If a provider was to be out of working from home, but in this case, the enterprise structure is using that field. So jumping back to the PowerPoint. Again, in this request queue, I didn't have every single appointment type ready for this demo. So how I want to, you can see these are I just had a few. I had the nurse follow-up, MD consult, pre-op assess. Let's go ahead and show you what the MD consult looks like, how that one works. You got a window here that says, please book with Dr. Genoway. So this is using the follow-up order. Somebody in the clinic is sending you a follow-up for a new patient to be booked with one of the providers. And so I know that now I need to book this to Dr. Genoway, but the MD new pulls in both providers as an option. And the new appointment type, I believe, was 45. Oops, there's a message that's saying this is outside of the requested date range. So April 20th is when it was requested for. And so you can see that it books for 45 minutes. Just a glimpse at another one of the appointments. But again, we're going to step to this next and have a look at our schedules and our appointments. This is what you sent, Group R, based on our last call, as well as what you took away. These are the default schedules. So these are, again, representing those yellow slots. What I'm going to show you. So if I jump to Monday through Friday for Genoway, this is what the day looks like. So jumping back to the book. Where are you? Monday through Friday, those yellow slots should line up with what I have in that Excel sheet. And so Kavanaugh is a little different. There's an admin in the afternoon. And I have that noted here. So can you give this a quick eye and see if there's anything that looks strange to you? Again, Whitlow and Henderson, both Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And you can see that in the name of the template here.
Dr. Genoway and Dr. Kavanaugh looks good. And Haley, I think she just, like, we would go by whatever she sent us. I'm not very informed on that one, but whatever she has requested would be the one that we need. For call-in, we have 8 to 10 is admin time, 10 to 12 is good, and then 11 to 12 is a break time, that is good, and 12 to 1600 is good. For Amy, we just have the break time for a block, and then for Melanie, we just have the break time for the block. Yeah, that's good. Okay,
and I did cross-check Haley's schedule versus what you sent me, so we should be okay there.
Got it. And I'm assuming that, if there was any change, let's say if Amy had to go for a meeting, we might be able to do the custom blocks in there.
Exactly, yeah. Anything can be blocked in the appointment book. The slots can also be removed when necessary. If, say, a provider says, I'm going to be gone for an entire week, you can put a resource comment and remove all the slots. You can use block appointments to just block off part of the day. There's a few different options in there.
Got it. So right now, how we are doing the scheduling for the doctors, like they give us their schedule, like for 2 months in advance or 1 month in advance, and we will open those slots for the doctors for those days for the doctors. So
Mhm.
I'm assuming in Cerner we would have them open all the time.
Yeah, so how our default schedules work is, I believe it's a year in advance is the system applies out a year in advance, or it might be further than that. Let's have a quick peek. So if I go to April 2024, May, June, July, boom, they're gone in August. So what is it? 18 months. Oh no, they're still scheduled. Sorry. Keep going. There's a default range. And each domain is different. Let's see if this one's 2 years. No, it's further than that. Anyway, they're wide open in this domain, but anyways, it's pretty far out. How you manage that schedule within your clinic. Basically, you want to design your default schedules to not have any hindrance on that release of schedules by the providers. So do you feel like the way that we've rolled this out, that it's going to suffice for keeping things open and having your schedules that roll out? So what I'm trying to say, let's look at this. So Amy Lowe has wide open schedule Monday through Friday with an admin time. But you're only going to book 2 months in advance on this schedule, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So as long as you're not using Suggest to go find slots for you, because what Suggest is going to do, it's going to go find slots that are further out than that. With Suggest, you also have the ability to put a date range and end range on your search. So that's kind of, if you're using first available functionality, you don't want the system scanning those full 2 years. You want it to look out for just the next 2 months. If that makes sense.
Yes, but let's say if the nurse wants, or if the patient has seen a doctor, let's say John Doe sees a doctor today,
Mhm.
and then the doctor wants the patient to follow up with us in 1 month's time.
Yeah.
But then we would have, like, the dates for 1 month. Right now, what we do is we'll see the nearest date that would basically get the patient a 1 month follow-up. So,
Yeah.
but in this case, we are gonna look at some like scheduled document that we will have to make in order to kind of book the patient for that time.
Yeah. And so and this is a great topic, because a follow-up order can be sent over with a requested date range that falls outside of your kind of 2-month window. So what you could do with that follow-up is put it over to the wait list and have it sit there until your schedules start to open up.
Got it.
So you can stage that. You don't need to leave those on your future request queue. You can move those over to wait list.
So I
And so
think
they use a field within their ordering side. So on their order, they click when they want that appointment. A requested start date is actually, I need a follow-up in June, but you don't have your schedules yet. So you're going to know that based on what they've entered on the order, that you can't book that yet. So you need to do something else with it, stage it on wait list, etc.
got it. So basically, right now, what we were doing is when we get the schedule from the doctors, we are expanding the PCS schedule and we are putting them on our calendar for the GSP. When the Cerner comes in, we'll just be doing it on the calendar, and when we need to book the patients, we'll just go to the calendar and look if they're working on the separate day that the appointment is requested for. So it's not gonna make any a whole lot of changes. But I think I've got the basic idea of how we are gonna tackle it.
Got it. So I see what you're saying. So what you've given for default schedules may not represent what it looks like when you're handed those schedules 2 months in advance. Is what you're saying.
That's right.
I see. And so if we have it wide open, you're going to need another system to cross-check against.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, right now it says Monday to Friday, Dr. Kavanaugh's schedule is there, or Monday to
Yep.
Friday, Dr. Genevieve's schedule is there. But they would give us some random dates, like they would say, I'm working 2nd May, 5th May, 17th May. These 3 are the only days that I'm working. So basically, I would have to kind of figure out a system, and which I think we've been doing it for, you know, we are doing it now. Like, you know, we just have it in the calendar. We would just go to the calendar and check the dates. If a follow-up needs to be booked in May, we will just go and check the May dates, and then
Yeah.
I will only open that date in order to book the patient. So
Great. So great point. I'm glad you're bringing this up. You have a few options. You can leave it wide open like that and cross-check your other external source every time. Or you could develop a system where you're managing your slots here in the appointment book. There's 2 ways that you could do that, is leave it how we did it now and delete slots where the days the provider are not available. Right click remove slots. Or I don't apply anything to your providers and you manage it by doing right click add slots. So if you wanted to do it all in Cerner and manage your own schedules in Cerner, you can do it, but it's very kind of time consuming. It's very, you know, adding and removing slots for every single day that the provider's there.
I think just the cross-referencing would be good.
Yeah.
Like I would say,
Okay.
like, you know how I have an external like external calendar, like on my Outlook. I'll just update the Outlook calendar anytime they update me, and we can, when booking the appointments, I'll just look that calendar.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, we're managing real schedules within Cerner, but the problem is what CST doesn't do is do template applications on the fly like this every, you know, however often that schedule's released. They don't do a template application with that kind of, you know, those kind of changes. We ask that stuff's managed within the clinics. And so that's why I pointed out, if you do decide you want to keep the schedules here, you can use, you know, blocks. You can right click remove slots. You can use add slot instead. There are options here, but it is very kind of time consuming, each day, each provider, etc.
Got it.
I think once you start to get your hands on the system, you're going to know, and you know, especially during cutover, is this going to be efficient for you? Would you rather do it here in Cerner, or do you want to keep that external source? I think, again, have another hard look during validation as well, once we present full end-to-end workflow. So that said, when you said they're telling you 2 months in advance, do these default templates work for the days that we have? When they are working, is this kind of what the day looks like? Or would you rather go to a wide open, just a yellow slot, and even manage the kind of admin time externally as well?
The admin time rarely changes.
Okay.
So admin blocks should be good, but the yellow slots might change. Sometimes one of the doctors could be like, oh, I'm going to be doing AM clinic, but I'm going to be working only 8 to 11. So I'll have to kind of make a note for myself in order to make sure that, you know, just book for 8 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can also, Gerpier, block the times.
Exactly, yeah,
You
that's
don't have to
another way.
remember, yeah. So you
Yeah.
can block. It's the opposite with PCIS, because with PCIS we have to expand. Everything is blocked and then you have to expand. With
Mhm.
Cerner, you have everything open and then you block whatever you don't want to use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that's why I pointed out, we can also do it where every single thing is blank. But then Group PR, once he gets the schedule, has to come through day to day and add the slots where the provider's working. So let's say gonna work from 6 a.m. to 5 hours. Say, okay, I now have a slot in there. So you can manage the release of these within the appointment book, but we would want to give you a blank slate and not have anything here at all. If
I
it's
think-
super random and you do end up wanting to keep it in Cerner, that would be more the method than the remove, but it's totally your call. Or don't do anything at all and leave it as we have it.
I think I would want to like, you know, get used to Cerner and then maybe
Yeah.
in a later date, you know, get
Yeah.
back to you and say, hey, can we remove all of them because it's confusing?
Yeah,
And then, but I think this is good, like, you know, to have all of them open and just to block the days that they're not working. That would be good. Can we block multiple days in one time?
block, you can use recurring functionality to set up a block on a schedule. Let's look at one really quick. Appointment location. Provider on for 1 week. I want to recur every day of the week. I want it to end on, when are we starting it? May 17th to May 24th, every day of the week. So it's going to give me a block for each day. And so you could then take that block and create the duration. Is it the whole day? Is it just the morning? And it'll block that for you. When you go 18th, you book the next one. Let me see if there's an expand. Oh, there we go. It's still slightly manual. You have to drag to each day, but it's at least pulling up the day for us. You can see the comments are appearing up top, provider gone for 1 week.
Got it.
Suggest doesn't work nicely because we don't, you can see that it doesn't direct to a specific resource. It pulls in everybody in the clinic. Suggest is a way of appointment block time does not have an associated resource list, so it wouldn't even let us anyway. It's very much a manual process of getting those down in. Recur will allow you, like you saw me do, to get those created for me, but I still have to step through each one. Great question, though. Yeah, you're gonna have a few options of how to manage that. Let's jump back to the PowerPoint. Schedules look good. Appointments. So here are the appointments with the providers associated, the durations as a default, and a few notes that I have there. So wound care follow-up is going to house those appointments for a cath remove, dress change, etc. We kept it generic. The pre-op assess has those 3 providers tied. We wouldn't ever need to have any others on the pre-op appointment. I have a note here. Can it function as designed under one appointment type? We already kind of worked that out, that you could use it and change the duration as needed for the second call. combos. We talked about combos. If we're keeping them separate as appointment types, then I don't need to know all the possible combinations because you're going to manage that yourself in the appointment book using next functionality. But how does this look at a glance through PR in terms of default durations and what resources are tied to each appointment?
I think Amy had sent you an email regarding the intake assessment timing to be changed to 45, and I think Colin had sent his email to make the 45-minute pre-op assessment to 60, I believe. But you can just go back to their email and double check with what they wanted. But overall, it looks good. The intake assessment need to be 45 minutes with Amy, and the MD new are both doctors 45 minutes. That's right. And then MD follow-ups is 30 minutes for. Yeah, that is something which I think we were talking the other day, and we were saying that those were 15-minute follow-ups, MD follow-ups.
15-minute follow-up.
Dr. Kavanaugh is definitely, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So you had it set up with double slots for which provider again?
For Dr. Genoa.
Genoa. It was 15 minutes with 2 slots. And so how we designed it was 30 with only 1 slot. And so now that you've seen the system, how do you like how that would be structured for that provider? Would you rather me break it up into 2 slots and change the default to 15? Or do you want to keep them the same?
That is something that I discussed with the team as well for Dr. Genevieve. Like earlier we had 30-minute, and then we would 8 to 8:30 we would have 2 patients in that one particular spot. But then I think you wanted us to explore the possibility of, having 2 15-minute slots rather than just 2 patients in 1 30-minute slot. And we, like myself and rest of the team, think that 15-minute would be better, but then we would still need a confirmation from Dr. Genevieve herself.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying I don't have this right here. I should have had Genoa as 15 on the MD follow-up.
Yeah, MD follow-up for Dr. Genevieve should be 15 minutes.
Okay. Apologies for that. Yeah, that makes sense. And it was doubled. It was when there were 2 slots, it was doubled at 30 minutes each.
No, it was 30-minute slot, but 2 patients in that 30-minute slot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you went to. Yeah. So earlier we had, like, let's say John Doe and some other patient. They were both in 1 slot, like 8 to 8:30 slot.
Yeah.
Which is why we wanted like 15-minute 8 to 8:15 and 8:15 to 8:30. But we would need Dr. Genevieve's confirmation. I think she's gonna be fine with that. She wouldn't care that much about it, but still would be nice to have her confirmation.
Okay.
And then for Dr. Kavanaugh, we would need the 15 minutes. I think that was always the case to have Dr. Kavanaugh just 15, not 30. His follow-ups are always 15 minutes.
Okay.
And
Sounds
then
good.
Up next we have nurse follow-up, our 15-minute, and pre-op for Amy we have 45, which I think you have already told. Maybe you're gonna go check the email. 45-minute for Amy.
Yeah. Amy.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. That was intake. Pre-op is good. Pre-op is 30 and 15. Sorry.
Okay.
So pre-op, there's 2 pre-ops for Amy, 30 and 15.
Yeah. And you're gonna
But I just see 1. Yeah, I just see 1 there. For pre-op for Amy, that's 30 minutes, and we would need a pre-op 15 as well. And then Colin, we have 45, which I think he's requested to change it to 60, and Haley should be good. And then patient follow-up.
PT follow-up.
PT follow-up. Okay, physiotherapy follow-up would be, that is whatever they've requested.
I saw that email. That's where I got the 30. Okay. And then
And
social work.
I think
Did
social
he
work.
change that? Okay.
I'm not sure if, I think he changed just the pre-op time, but it would be, yeah, we can just go back to the email and see it there. And then wound care follow-ups are 15 minutes are okay, yeah.
Okay.
There is one kind of wound care which takes more than usual, which is called the vac change. But I don't think it's like, it's smart to like have all of them hard coded in there. We can always customize the vac change to be 1 hour, considering that we do the vac changes very rarely.
Yeah, okay.
But those kind of wound care appointments can be lengthier than 15 minutes.
And that particular long duration wound care appointment, would the requesting provider know when at the time of requesting that appointment?
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
what they're doing? Okay.
Yeah, so they
can
would
use the
basically,
special-
yeah, in the special instructions, they could be like, hey, book catheter removal 15 minutes or vac change 1 hour.
Perfect. Sounds good. We talked about capture surgery type. That was using reason for exam or special instructions. And the negatives with special instructions were that they're not front facing on the book or on ambulatory organizer, but reason for exam was. And this looks like we're being biased here, but I just wanted to highlight the benefits of capturing that in reason for exam. It sounds like that's what the route we're going to take. And then, so this is how I'll present it at validation, like the full walkthrough, and we'll discuss any concerns there. Hopefully, we'll have some of the other providers on during that session, and we can just see it all the way through, everybody together. The automated appointment reminder message. So this is the message. You did confirm over email that this looks okay. There was a question from our AAR counterpart, Barb Miller asked, do we just want VGH on text and email as well, or should the texts and email actually say gen surge?
No, it should never say gender surgery.
Got it. That's what I told her. Okay.
Yeah, and we were like, there was another question that popped up when we were talking about the automated message. When the email gets sent to the patient, when the automated email gets sent to the patient, would it have gender surgery as the sender, or can we mask it to?
I'm planning to mask everything so that it just looks like this, what you're seeing here.
Like, no, like if they look at the email and if they go to the sender's address, we don't want gender surgery to even pop up there as well. Can we mask that address?
The sender of the email?
Yes.
It won't be appearing from your clinic. It's going to be appearing from a generic email address.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, there is like this is one of the major issue that we deal with, that we don't want to give our clinics information because the patient might not be comfortable with with someone listening to their voicemail. Sometimes they could be living with their parents and they wouldn't want their parents to kind of have that information. So I think it looks good if it's generic to remind of the appointment.
Okay.
Yeah. And is it possible to mention the appointment date and time as well?
Yeah, that's up here. Sorry. Appointment date and time. And you didn't have specific preps, if I remember correct, that we were just going to keep it generic.
Exactly. We're just going to keep it generic. And also, if you need to cancel or reschedule this appointment, please call the clinic. I was hoping to add a separate line that we have always had. I can send that to you again regarding the cancellation policy, that the cancellations need to happen like at least 2 to 3 days before.
Okay, and you capture that in preps here. So let me just put prep. The wording is, do you want to just send me the wording exactly and I can add that prep?
Yes, I will send you that wording.
Okay.
Wondering, do you these automated message reminders, do you mask it at other clinics within the hospital? Sorry.
I don't know that I've personally dealt with any masking. I'm almost positive that it has been done because when we brought it up to Barb, it wasn't a new topic to her. But
Okay.
she's the one who came back to us and said, well, if it's going to email and text, isn't that directly to the patient? Can't we have gender surgery there? Or she didn't say can't we, but she asked if she wanted me to validate with you. But yeah, it sounds like you want it off of everything.
Well, I don't know, like, and Grumpy, maybe you might be able to speak into this, like, when it says, is this an appointment reminder from Vancouver General Hospital? Is that too vague? Like, do other people normally have other appointments within the hospital? Will they be confused? Will they know what it's about?
So sorry, I'm just like, what we were trying to do here is cover our bases, to kind of give them some kind of reminder that they have the appointment and reduce the work from the clerical side, but also we are including the phone number, the clinic phone number. They can always phone us and to kind of confirm the appointment and stuff.
Right.
We
Okay.
just don't like, that is like a big, I would say, a liability if we include gender surgery in there, because
No,
we've had,
yeah. I
So,
agree. I just didn't know if Vancouver General Hospital was too vague. Like, if people saw it, they wouldn't know which
exactly, yeah,
appointment they're at. So, but if they have the phone number, I guess they can just
Yeah.
call it and figure
exactly,
it
yeah.
out.
Because yeah, I totally understand. This is so vague, like to have Vancouver General Hospital, but we just don't have any other option to kind of, give them
Yeah,
the
I think
phone number.
can we try GSP clinic, or I don't know, some kind of abbreviation?
GSP BC would
Yeah,
be fine with
GSP
me.
or GSP clinic or GS clinic. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like if you guys are okay with that, I'm okay with GSP BC as well.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need to somehow make it vague, but not too vague, just in case they have
Yeah.
other appointments within the hospital.
And you don't want it to look like phishing either.
Exactly, yeah.
So it needs to be somewhat stamped with where they're coming from, but not so much that it's a liability.
So in the initial,
I'm good with GSBC. Is that what you said, Gerb?
yes, so we usually have the abbreviation GSP BC, Gender Surgery Program BC. Yeah. So if they have any, like, doubts, but most of our patients are very, very smart and they should be able to figure it out. But if they don't, they have the phone number in there as well. And I will forward you the email, Mike, to
Yeah.
to update it in a better way, to kind of give them the cancellation policy on it.
Okay. Great. That's perfect. What else do I have here? So I'll look for that email and
Yeah.
we'll get that over to our team. I think there's a couple of outstanding items that need to be updated on the DCW and translated into build. Placeholder for outstanding workflow and build questions. One item here. I just want to note provider follow-up duration. 230. And other than that, I feel like we solidified a lot of the decisions that we had. As long as you feel comfortable with that, from the
I think,
clinic perspective?
if you go back to slide number 8,
Mhm.
you've made slide number 9, sorry, 9. I think
Yeah, all the
Amy's need to be
durations.
looked at and Colin's duration need to be looked at. And I see that you didn't make a note there, so might need to
Yeah.
update that.
Thank
Amy
you.
and Colin's duration needs to be. Double checked.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Dr. Genevieve, we need to confirm with her regarding that 30-minute slot.
That's this. Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no
it.
worries. And we're gonna have some more detailed notes after this. This is more outstanding design stuff. Like if we weren't feeling comfortable about, for example, putting patient type in reason for exam, surgery type, like what design decisions do we still have to make? I feel like we've got through everything today.
Yeah.
And Raj and I will obviously scan this call to get our notes together to come up with a follow-up list of more refined notes as well. Raj, do you have anything for the group?
No other questions. We just need to like refer back to this whole recording, I think, like you said, for more detailed touch points.
Anything from ambulatory or Nicole? Any questions from anybody? Let's open it up to the whole group.
Yeah, I might just steal a couple of minutes since we have Pinky here. Just regarding the research studies, Pinky. So I've touched base with Dr. Genoway just regarding some of the research studies that may be being held at the clinic space. And when I first spoke to Dr. Kavanaugh, he said that he sent me a form that was just the one, but it looked like it was already a completed research study. But when I talked to Dr. Genoway, she also told me that there's a few current ones. I'm just wondering if you know what they are, or like if you have the forms. I just haven't heard back from her yet. Or if you happen to know the research coordinator that I can maybe speak to.
I don't actually. I haven't been involved with that side of the clinic, the research side. Do you mind sending me the email that you sent to Dr. Genoway, and I'll follow up?
Oh yeah, sure. Sounds good. I can forward that to you.
Perfect.
But from what I understand, at least from what GRPR told us previously, that there are no research specific appointments that are being made anyways, it seems. So
No.
yeah.
I think the discussion is a lot of times we build in research-based appointments, and then other clinics just have research type providers that are floating through the clinic, but there's nothing that's represented in scheduling.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, as of now, we don't have any residents working for our clinic. They do have residents when performing the surgery, but that has nothing to do with our clinic. They would just write the transcripts, and that is basically the notes and the surgery notes and stuff. But no residents, like we don't have any residents seeing the patients at the gender surgery clinic as of now. But I think if it changes, that we might be able to get in touch with you guys again.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I know this was a lot today.
And,
Go ahead.
And before
Sorry.
you guys leave, as I do it all the time, I just want to confirm the next sessions for both the teams so that we don't miss anything. I know you guys had a slide, and I've already captured that last time when we were here, but I just wanted to see.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass that to Raj.
Yeah, let's do that. So we're all on the same page.
Yeah, our next session is on 28th of this month, which would be the validation session for scheduling.
Got it. So right now in this screen,
but they have something else before that.
Yeah. So
yeah, April
the
21st.
21st. Yeah, exactly.
So April 21st, we have gender surgery clinic overall follow-up session, number 2, validation session.
Yeah, this would be the validation session where everyone is required to attend.
Okay, everybody, including Dr. Genevieve, right?
Yeah, including Dr. Genoa and Dr. Kavanaugh, but Dr. Genoa is going to be doing surgeries that day. She has told us. So she's okay for Dr. Kavanaugh to cover for her. So I am just waiting to get a, confirmation from Dr. Kavanaugh. But that, like, I talked to his booking clerk and that time slot has already been booked, but I just want to get a 100% answer from him before we say yes. But it's definitely, I mean, it's going to be a yes, I'm sure, but just to let you know. But if you do see him, or if you for some reason see him like in the clinic, would you mind asking? I've sent him so many emails already too, but if you can, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
I am gonna do that. Just give me 1 sec. I think he has clinic on the 21st, and if he has clinic, then he might be able to come in earlier and attend the meeting. April 21st. Give me 1 second. Yeah, 21st, he has a clinic, AM telehealth clinic, 8 to 12. And what time is our meeting again?
So our meeting starts at 11, but we asked him to join us at 12 p.m., 12 to 1, just for the provider.
Got it. Yeah, I think he might be able to do that because he's doing AM telehealth, and our meeting is a telehealth too. So, but I can follow up with him tomorrow. He's going to be in clinic tomorrow.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much.
So,
really appreciate it.
No worries. I just wanted to wrap up the to-do list for me. Email cancellation policy to be sent to Mike, and clinic follow-up, meeting follow-up with Dr. Kavanaugh.
Yeah, do you need a screen print of what the slots would look like, one way or the other, for Dr. Kavanaugh? 2 side by side, or 1 at 15, or 2 side by side with appointments at 30 minutes? Are you okay to explain it without that screen print?
To the doctor?
Yeah.
Sure. Wouldn't that happen in the validation session though?
I mean, I just don't know that the provider would be at our Sched validation session where we really get into all the scheduling stuff.
Oh, okay.
Gerb, since you already have him tomorrow, if you could just quickly look at the schedule. So if you guys could email that to Gerb, that'd be great.
So
what that looks like either way. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll show it to him tomorrow. Yeah. So the 15, so there's a possibility of having 15-minute slots and just one, and there's a possibility of having 2 side by side.
Yeah, there would be 1 with follow-ups booking every 15, so 8, 8:15, 8:30, or I put another slot in. Let's just add a slot and just to show you. Because I'm going to send this in a screen print anyway. Sorry. To have slots going side by side like that and have 2 patients booked at the same time, but they're both booked for 30 instead of the one with 1 patient booked every 15 minutes.
I think for Dr. Kavanaugh, we can leave all 15 because that was his schedule all along. So like we've been doing 15 minutes for Dr. Kavanaugh. So
yeah,
like I definitely know for sure that we would want the 15-minute for Dr. Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
to
with
have
just
the
15, the 1 slot.
Yes, 1 slot. But then we would let's say if he rarely sees 2 patients in 15 minutes, but it would be nice to have 1 1 parallel slot to his initial slot. So basically like how we have for Dr. Genevieve, we have 2 slots there, right? Like 2 parallel slots for Dr. Genevieve. That way, if you could have 2 for Dr. Kavanaugh, just in case if he wants to do like a double booking for just those 15 minutes,
What
because some,
double booking can happen even without having another slot there. You can
Oh, okay.
still book to the gray time.
okay,
This is only if we wanted to have Genoway. We're talking Genoway, right? Sorry, am I
Yeah.
confusing it again?
no, yeah, that's why I was kind of confused too, because Dr.
I'm so
Kavanagh,
sorry.
you're good. Yeah, no, that's totally okay.
Yeah, that's my bad. So 15, so double up the slots for this provider and have it as appointments that book for 15 minutes each. So you could easily free flow 2 patients at 8 o'clock to 8:15, 2 patients at 8:15 to 8:30.
That's right.
And then, or leave it as we have it. And it's just one slot, but they book for, sorry, one slot and it books for, no, that's not right. If it's 2 slots, it's going to book for 30. If it's 1 slot, it books for 15.
Got it. So I
I'm
think,
going to send you a screen print with all the details of that.
yeah, and I think what you said earlier is right. Like for Dr. Kavanagh, let's do 15, like, because I don't think, that's a very rare possibility, because sometimes when the clinic is running fast, he's gonna be like, I'll see these 2 patients in 15 minutes too, which is not something that we do all the time. But I think for Dr. Kavanagh, we should be good. Just have the 15-minute slots. And if there's anything that we need to change, we can always customize it. And for Dr. Genevieve, we would need to follow up with her to give us, I can email her and ask her if she's okay with doing 15-minute slots rather than 30 minutes and having 2 patients in that 1 30-minute slot.
Okay.
And I've updated my notes here to follow with Dr. Genevieve, to follow up with you regarding the cancellation policy, and to follow with Dr. Kavanagh about April 21st.
Yep. Perfect.
And I have, sorry.
This can be designed however you like it. It's not, we wouldn't push you in one direction or another. So if one provider wants 2 slots and their appointments to be booked for a certain duration, that's fine. It can be completely different than the other provider, no problem at all. So definitely don't have any bias on how this, just because one looks this way. You just tell me how you want it to look and we'll build it that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Once you speak to them.
Yes, I will send an email to both of them and see
Okay.
what they would like.
Great. Okay. And yeah, and so jumping back to that date for scheduling, our scheduling on April 28th. So ambulatory validation is everything connected with a little bit of scheduling sprinkled in. I want you to definitely take a look at that date and think about who from your clinic needs to see all this this scheduling, fine-combed scheduling details that we talked about today.
April 28th, are you talking about?
Yeah, the 28th is basically what we did today. And just, I don't necessarily think that we want to be making a bunch of changes then, but if you think that they need to see this, if they need to see the appointments and see the flows within scheduling, then we want to get those SMEs there as well, or sorry, those providers there as well. Not the MDs necessarily, but if Colin needs to see it, or if Amy needs to see it, etc.
Got it. So for April 21st, everybody is required. For April 28th, I am required, but I will send an email to them to all of them to see if they want to join for the first 15 or the last 15 minutes of the meeting to kind of, have a final look of how the design is going to be, or the scheduling design is going to be looking like.
Yeah. And I just, again, that's not a time to be making a bunch of changes. So if we need to get this in front of them before that in a certain fashion, and I know that you've already done that, sending out the spreadsheets. If we feel like that's enough of a sign off from them, then let's leave it at that. They don't necessarily need to be there for scheduling validation on the 28th. But if you'd like them to see it as we've designed it, then that'd be great too. 15 minutes of part of the demo, etc.
Yeah, I'll make sure to communicate that to them.
Okay.
So are you gonna be should I be on the lookout for an email from you?
Regarding this data here for an additional sign off, or no? Or just
I
the
think-
follow-up notes from today?
I think you were gonna send me the captures for the
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely that. Sorry. Yep, I'll send that
Mhm.
to you right after we get off the call. I'll send you, I'll get screen prints with appointments booked for both formats.
got it. Well, I think I am good to I don't have any questions. I don't have any more questions.
Sounds good. We'll take these notes and get everything buttoned up for our next session.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
You.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.